And this is the finished product. All the wall tile grouted. Again, don't be afraid to put a bunch of grout on the floor now. Low angle, push it in. Okay, so this bathroom here is all installed, the floor is done, shower floor is done, the walls are all done, everything's done. It's just ready for grout. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to show you guys how I grout. Depending on the type of grout that you've got, you're going to approach it differently. It used to be you buy grouts, they were all the same. It was all cementitious grouts. You mixed them and you spread them and you washed them and you cleaned it up. Today there are a lot of different kinds of grouts. The one I'm using today is Ultracolor Plus FA. This is a powdered grout. This one is they're all the same. There's no sanded or unsanded. They're all got a very small aggregate in it, which would be the sand, and you use it for everything, for 1/16 of an inch up to I think it was like a ½ an inch or so. A lot of the older grouts you had sanded and unsanded. The sanded was for 1/8 of an inch or greater. Unsanded was for 1/8 of an inch or less. The 1/8 of an inch you could go either way. These types of grouts here, it's for everything. Now these grouts here are not Portland cement based. I think they're calcium aluminate or something like that, but they're not Portland cement based. And the reason for that is they're very, very stain resistant. If you get a Portland cement based grout, when you mix it up and you apply it, let it dry, and you let it sit up, when it dries and it's cured, the pores of the grout are a certain size. They're they're very absorbent. They're very they'll absorb everything. You wet it and it just absorbs the water. It gets some grape juice or whatever. It soaks right in. These advanced grouts, these ones here, the pores are much smaller. So a lot of times you'll hear them referred to as pre-sealed grouts, that they're already got the sealer in it. That's not actually the case. The case is the way that they're made, that the bonding agent in it actually produces smaller pores so that they are very stain resistant. When you get a regular cementitious based grout and you seal it, what are you doing? You're closing the pores so that stains won't absorb into the grout. So this here, because you mix it, the pores are already small. They act the same way as a grout that's being sealed. So they're very stain resistant. That doesn't mean that you just you spill something on it, you just leave it and walk away. What that means is it gives you time to clean it up before the grout gets stained. The only real stain-proof grouts are epoxy grouts, but those have issues in the sense they're much more difficult to install, and they're UV sensitive, so there's no perfect grout. But these advanced grouts are much better than they used to be, than the older grouts. So this one here, this floor, this is a 12 by 12 porcelain tile, and then we've got the mosaic floor tile, and then we've got I think it's a 20 by 10 wall tile. So I'm going to be grouting this with all the same grout, because you just happen to pick out the same grout for everything. It's all going to be white grout. It's going to be this grout here. This color is white. So that's what I'm going to be using. Now, the thing about these advanced grouts is you have to follow the directions very carefully. Because they're not Portland based, the mixing ratio, the water ratio, and how you wash them you follow the directions very carefully. Small amounts of water over what they're supposed to be mixed with, or if you overwash them, you can discolor the grout. Like, not so much with the lighter grouts, but with the darker grouts. If you've got like a dark gray grout and you overwater it, when you're mixing it, you put too much water in it, when you mix it and you don't mix it and let it slake and then remix it, and then when you wash it, you wash it with too much water, the dark color is going to be taken out. It's going to wash out. So you want it when you're using these advanced grout, which I recommend because they're much better than the cementitious grouts, the standard cementitious grouts. You got to pay attention to how you mix it and how you wash it. So I'm gonna be grouting this whole bathroom, and with this grout, I'm gonna show you how I do it. So when I mix it, I'm gonna mix it according to the directions. I'm gonna measure the water. I'm gonna mix it with a drill, and then I'm gonna let it slake, and then I'm gonna remix it, and then I'm gonna start applying. Another thing about these grouts, when you mix these grouts, use a drill with a paddle. Because they need to be mixed properly. They don't mix well by hand. You can do it if you have to. I mean, if you're stuck, but if you've got the option, get a like a paint mixing paddle, like this one of these here. This is what I use to mix my grout. Just stick it in a cordless drill and mix it with one of these. This is a paint mixing paddle, and it works really well for mixing the grout. So like I said, I'm gonna mix this. I'm gonna get some water. Obviously, you just mix it with water. I'm gonna measure the water. I'm gonna mix it, let it slake, and then start applying. These are fast-setting grouts. You've got plenty of time to work with them, but they do set up pretty fast. So I'm gonna show you, and then depending on the towel, like this towel here is a ceramic towel. It's got a white bisque, so it is very porous. The floor and the shower floor and the main floor, those are porcelain tiles. This stuff is gonna set up much quicker than this stuff here. And I'm gonna show you how you tell. So you got to pay attention on how it sets up and while you're washing it. We're not gonna fill the corners with grout. We're going to caulk all the corners, all the transitions, all the changes of plane, but we're going to grout everything else. This is the cardboard that I had down when I was installing the tile to protect the floor, and that was on the bench seat to protect the bench seat. I just put them back so that as I'm grouting, I don't scratch anything, and I don't ruin anything. And the curb here, I'm just going to be very careful when I'm walking around that. Okay, so the tools you're going to need for grouting is a float. I like these kind of floats. It's like this is softer float. I kind of like these. I'll put a link in the description to the float. You're going to need a margin trowel. You're going to cordless drill with a mixing paddle. Just notice that this one's broken here. I'm going to have to get a new one. Then you're going to need a measuring pail and sponges. You can get either these kind of sponges or these kind of sponges. I prefer these ones, but any sponge will work. And then obviously a clean pail to mix your grout. So you measure the water, add the water to the bucket, and then you add the grout to the bucket. Don't put the grout in first, put the water in first. So let's measure the water and then start mixing this grout. So this grout needs 1 to 1.1 quarts of water per 10-pound bag of grout. I'm going to mix the whole thing. So I'm going to go on the lower side rather than the higher side, because on the wall tile you want a little stiffer so it doesn't keep on falling all over the place. So I'm going to measure the water and mix this grout. Okay, so I measured the water, put that in, put the grout in. let it slake. Now, and the directions are very clear. You mix for 3 to 5 minutes, let it slake 2 to 3 minutes, and then remix it again. So for like 30 seconds. So I'm going to let it sit for a few minutes, and then I'm going to remix it and start grouting. So when you're grouting, you want to make sure you wear gloves because you know the grout is very caustic. So I like these gloves. These are nitrile gloves. They're very, very, very tough, and they won't break. And you can actually use these multiple times. I'll put a link in the description to these. So just make sure you wear gloves. You know, the latex gloves, they're pretty much useless. Okay, so it's been slaking for a few minutes. Gonna mix it up again and start grouting. Okay, so when you're spreading the grout to fill the joints, you keep it on a low angle, like this, so that you push it in. Low angle, so you push the grout in. When you go to clean the grout off, you keep it at a high angle, very high angle like that, so that you use the squeegee edge to pull all the grout off. So, let me show you. So really close back up. So, low angle. See how it's low angle? To push it in. And then you use a high angle to clean it off. High angle to clean it off. You get most of it off. Low angle. High angle. To clean it off. Okay, so I like to start from the top and work my way down. Another thing that helps is you got one of these. So let's start grouting. When you're grouting, you want to push the grout into the joints. Make sure you fill the joints completely. Use every part of the grout. So when you fill in the grout lines, you keep it on a low angle and push it in, and then go over it. Keep it on a low angle, and you push it in. And then when you scrape it off, you keep it on a high angle and get off as much as you can. Okay, like I was saying, because this is a very porous tile, when I touch this grout, nothing transfers to my finger. That means it's ready to wash. It's going to take a lot longer on the floor.
So when you're washing the grout with your sponge, you want to wring out the sponge as much as possible, get as much water out of the sponge as possible before wiping it on the grout. You want to use as little water as possible so you don't wash the color out of the grout.
So you want to get all the tile clean, work the joints, get them nice and even. sponge. And now for like this rinse, just pull one direction. Flip it over. And keep on going back and forth. Okay, so that was quick to grout that. I'm going to get the rest of the top and then I'll work on the bottom.
So when you're grouting, don't be afraid to use quite a bit of grout on the float or on the wall. Get a good amount on the wall so that you're not trying to scrape little bits of grout to fill the joints. You want to get a good heavy amount of grout on the wall. Same on the floor. When you do the floor, you want to use a fair amount of grout so that you got plenty of grout to push into the grout lines. So you want to be using mostly the long edge of the float, not the short edge. The long edge is going to cover more area, so you're going to get through grouting a lot quicker. You're going to fill the lines, more quickly. Okay, so I'm gonna finish grouting the rest of this bathroom, and then by the time I'm done with the last wall, the areas that I did first are all gonna be pretty much dry, and it's gonna haze over, and it's gonna be ready to wipe down.
Okay, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a haze on the tile. It's kind of hard to see in the in the camera, but there's a haze on the tile. So I'm going to wipe this down, and then I'm going to caulk everything that needs to be caulked, and then I'm going to grout the shower floor. Now the reason I'm going to caulk everything is so once I grout the shower floor, I can come out and I don't have to go back in there. So I'm going to wipe this down and then caulk.
Okay, so with a glossy tile like this, most times you can do one wash. You do your initial wash, you wash it off, and then you go over it with the same wash and get off as much as you can, and then let it dry and haze over. If you've done it correctly, it'll be clean enough that you can wipe it down with a rag and get it perfectly spotless. If it's not a glazed tile or you haven't washed as well as you should have, you're probably going to have to do a second wash with clean water to get most of the haze off, and then wipe it down. These type of grouts that I'm using here, usually they're very friendly as far as getting the tile clean. They're much easier to clean off than a regular cementitious grout.
And I've got this so I got this razor, so if there's any like residual thin set or anything on the tile, I can just scrape it off, get it nice and clean. So this is just one wash. that I did. I didn't do a secondary wash because usually with this kind of tile you can get away with just one wash. If this on the floor tile, I'm probably gonna have to do a second rinse. Okay, so that's all wiped down. I'm gonna vacuum the floor one last time. First I'm gonna caulk all the corners, all around the perimeter, all the corners and everything. Not gonna be in this video, that's gonna be for another video. So, let me get to this caulk here. This shower stall is all grouted and caulked. Now I'm gonna grout the floor, the shower floor, and the bathroom floor. Now this is going to go a little bit differently to the wall because the wall tile was very porous, so the grout dried very quickly. The floor tile is not porous, this porcelain tile, so it's going to take a little bit longer for the grout to set up. So again, you use a low angle to push it in, very low angle to push it in, and then a high angle to clean it off. It's actually setting up pretty quick. So it's almost. So this is what I'm talking about. You want to touch it. If it transfers to your finger, then it's not ready yet. But it's actually setting up pretty quick. So I'm gonna clean this off first, and then I'm gonna move to the bathroom floor. So I'm just gonna wait for this to dry. Now transferring to the finger. So it's ready to wash. So I washed it off. Now I'm just going to get the sponge, drag it across once, flip it over, drag it across another time, and that's it. And see how clean that is? Now I'm just going to rinse it off, do it again, once, flip it over, just one time. Just drag it once. If you go back, again, the grout haze, the grout that's on the sponge, you're going to put it back on the tile. So you just want to use it once. You see any little things? Clean them up. Just little things that's sticking through. Okay, I'm going to grab the bathroom floor now. Again, don't be afraid to put a bunch of grout on the floor now. Low angle, push it in. Low angle, push it in. push it in with an angle. High angle. And you don't want to go across the joints like this, and then you dig it out when you get to the joint. You want to always go on an angle. So, go on an angle. I already caulked this. It's dry to the touch. You want to squeeze out the sponge as much as possible. Okay, so that's all grouted. Let this dry. Wipe it down with a rag or a secondary wash, and I'm all done. Okay, so I wiped it down like I did the walls, exactly the same way. And this is the finished product. All the wall tile grouted, floor grouted, caulked, shower floor grouted, and the main floor. So just in case you haven't seen my videos before, my name is Sal Blasi. I'm a tile contractor in the Boston area. Been installing tile for over 35 years. My channel has over 760 videos all to do with installing tile, so check that out. So leave me comments in the comment section below. And check me out on Patreon. If you can support me, that'd be great. And most of all, don't forget to subscribe. I'll also leave some links in the description on some of the tools that I use. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.